envy, jealousy transpired in some other form. Either the person is sort of being passive aggressive or the person is being plain nasty. That is a case where it doesn't cost you much to just get your peace as quickly as possible and just move away from that situation. Hi everyone, Mod Toussaint Comoz here. This is a mod thing, and today we have, how would I call it, story time and pot thinking, reflection, perhaps advice, you name it. Clearly, as a human, I experience things, so I have a little series called Happiness Over 50s, where I've shared some thought about how my process to feeling confident, to owning your peace of mind and happiness, and guard against situation that can prevent you from feeling happy. Today, it's one of those talks that I wish to have with you, and it's really about envy, jealousy, and it came to me first of all because for some reason YouTube keeps sending me those videos on how to recognize envious people, jealous people. And those have like 1 million views, 3 million views, and like thousands and thousands of comments. So I started looking into them and I'm like, wow, that's really strange, because that's one of the most popular topic. And everyone is saying, yeah, someone is jealous of me. So everyone thinks someone is jealous of them. So who's jealous then? It's like everyone feels, I'm not jealous. Someone else is jealous. Someone else is envious. I want to speak from a perspective of also having self-reflection, not just sort of not thinking about what we do and just seeing those million videos about toxic people, envious people, and jealous people, and never self-reflect upon us and just think, oh, it's other people who are like that. But it's also very important to recognize other people and whether that matters. Is dealing with people who's envious or jealous even matter? Could we just say, who cares, or we're not going to worry about it? It turns out, if you watch certain movies like Selena, when you read certain stories, sometimes it can be very bad for someone to be in an environment, in a situation where you are dealing with people who are envious or jealous. That can be detrimental. Yes, we cannot always say, let's ignore it, things like that. So we have to be very careful. We have to be able to recognize those signs. So that's what I want to talk about, recognizing those signs that we ourselves may project or other people project onto us, and what we can do about it. So that was the first instance that got me to think about this whole topic of envious and jealousy. And obviously, it's not all the time we can ignore it. So that's one way. And then another sort of situation that happened to me that kind of got me to really think about it, besides those feeds that YouTube was sending me, I was sort of going back over some of my videos. One of my nicest videos that I put a lot of research in had the most dislike. That was the time when YouTube was putting like and dislike, and I didn't figure out how to just disregard likes and dislike, because there is a whole psychology behind like and dislike in YouTube. You guys can do the research on that. I was sort of intrigued. I listened to the video again, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's kind of my best piece. I mean, early on, I was pretty bad. And a lot of people were like too happy to see how great I was. But I recognized myself I was bad. So I'm not under any illusion here, okay? So by then I was able to assess basically what I do and what I don't do. And I saw that was a very good video. It had the most dislike. That sort of triggered that whole experience I also had a little bit early on YouTube. I could easily also call this talk how to recognize jealousy and envy or meanness in YouTube because I went through some of that experience early on. I'm not trying to be paranoid, but I can tell you the source of those, I think, 6 dislikes I had in that video. I can tell you the source of that. Basically, there was an individual that somehow, the minute I got in YouTube, somehow tried to develop some form of relationship, friendship with me. This particular individual really was all about commending and then helping and then sort of saying, oh, I'm helping this, I'm helping that person. And ultimately, everyone that this person had helped ended up being very effective. Some of them, for all I know, may even have had serious mental trigger situation. But be it as it may, something happened with that individual. I felt compelled to block this person from my life through telephone, through everything. I remember that same day, I got those 6 dislikes in this one video. And I can tell you from a lot of conversation with that person, this is someone who has many accounts because she helped me like that. She was having many of her accounts, all her telephone and everything, listening to my videos in order to help me increase the views because I was trying to sort of set up in YouTube, monetize and stuff like that. Although that really doesn't mean anything. It was more like you don't really get any money from, YouTube or anything. Like I can just say like I've made what, $100 in 2 years of doing YouTube from those videos. So it's obviously not for money. But to me, I thought it was fun to sort of be part of the community and to get the commercials and whatnot in your videos. So one of my goals early on was to monetize. And so that person was helping that way, watching my videos. And I know this person had many accounts, like 5 or 6 accounts that the person has subscribed to and that the person was having watch my videos. And that same day, those 6 accounts diminished from my subscription, from my subscriber, and there were those 6 dislikes in this video. Could be a coincidence, but based on how the story is, it seems like very plausible. That was a situation. In terms of how you recognize people who are envious and jealous in your life, is you find yourself very unhappy very quickly in strong argument with someone out of like, how did that happen? There is a pattern. Those people become very mean and just very nasty and toxic somehow. Lies in your face, gaslight, and just become very nasty. Somehow, they just want everything to be done for themselves. They have a very inflated ego and they just want everything for themselves. And that sort of translates into not wanting anything for you and therefore some form of envy and jealousy. So that's one sort of nasty experience that I've had with basically YouTube, I would say, and that kind of taught me to experience something like that so vividly and to see how my bucket of unhappiness just increased just that 1 or 2 months. I was experiencing this person. It was like, wow. And in cases like that, that was a situation where things have to be caught up. You know, like this is not a relative, that is not a family member where you are forced to deal with. So in situation where you just pop up on someone who happens to be virtual, like troll, who happen to be not a true fundamental being in your life in terms of physically present, emotionally present, that is a case where it doesn't cost you much to just get your peace as quickly as possible and just move away from that situation. So in a case like that, that would be, in summary, you would experience this very nasty situation and you just walk. The second one that we want to be aware of is when we have a very good relationship with someone, and that part is really hard because you can find yourself really having a good friend, loving the person, and somehow the conversation always tilt on some form of comparison of your life and that person. It's really nice for people to compliment you if they come to your house. Oh, your house is nice. If you have a nice dress on, oh, it's nice. But this idea of like saying, oh, yours is nice and mine is not, even if the weird part about it is, even if the person has as much as you are, or even better, somehow, because you have something, the envious person is going to just not be happy with what she has. And that person is a little bit of a passive aggressive, because this person is like putting, himself down, saying his stuff is not good, saying his thing is not, and yours is. Or comparing children, and things like that, which is something that I have found very popular in sort of the suburban sort of areas that I live in. I don't think it's a cliche, but you have those moms that I sort of basically avoid. They're always the first to be asking you what school your kid's going to, what this is going to. Like, why should they know? Why do they need to know about that? Like, they are obsessed with understanding what your kid is doing in order to compare their kids with yours. And no matter what their kids are doing, no matter how great their kids are, they're coming to you and saying, oh, your kid has this advantage, your kid has this, that, and mine don't. How do you deal with situation like that? Especially if it's like someone you very, very close to. That's just very hard. That's just very hard. For one thing, you're going to have to make sure you're very selective in the type of information you provide. Because whatever information you provide is feeding into this person negativity about themselves and their space. And that's not helping the person. And then you just have to be very careful about basically what you say. You have to sort of examine the relationship, accept the parts that are good, and potentially talk to the person. But there is a good case that that's not going to change. If someone is an adult, a mature person, and they feel compelled to not be very grateful about what they have, not be very happy with the blessing that God is giving them, but it's just projecting about what you have and what they don't have, that's never going to change. That's never going to change, because I think that's a tendency we develop when we are babies, like having kids, babies. I can see a little bit of human nature that kids like automatically are a little bit selfish or a little bit immature. they're a little bit jealous of their siblings and things like that. It seems to me it's a human tendency that at some point we have to develop away from that, because we have to begin recognizing the blessings that we have and focus on what we have, how to develop ourselves, and then be happy, genuinely happy, have an open heart and an open mind about other people's stuff, as opposed to seeing everything someone else has as a way to just destroy your own self. And at the end of the day, what essentially does that mean? Is it just hurting that person? Or could that be affecting you that's experiencing that person? I think in a case like that, you just have to be very selective in the type of exposure you give that person to your life. That's, I think, the second aspect of envy and jealousy and a mix of negativity. So one of them is coming from the person thinking too much of themselves, and the other one is coming from the person having some problem and not thinking as much of themselves. But they both translate into projection of jealousy and envy onto you, which might affect you in ways that you don't even know. It's a very uncomfortable situation. Sometimes it's not easy to just drop, because I mean, at the end of the day, like I say, everyone was saying everyone is jealous about them. So at the end of the day, that doesn't mean then you have no one to speak with, you become a hermit and you just like go in your own corner. That's not a practical thing to do. But I feel like we need to be aware of those type of situation. There's a lot of lists out there of what to look for. People who just never are happy about your accomplishment. They keep silent. They diminish you. These are some of the stuff that I see being listed in order to recognize people who are envious and jealous. I suppose there are a whole list out there, but I thought of sharing a little bit more of those nuanced situations that ultimately it's really jealousy and envy, but transpired in some other form. Either the person is being passive aggressive or the person is being plain nasty. I hope you have enjoyed these thoughts, and perhaps that's helping you recognizing some situation that you may be in that's very toxic, that's very aggressive in one way, or that's very passive aggressive in another way. How we can somehow move on past those situations, or manage those situations in a way that still keep us safe. My thoughts on what to look for and perhaps how to address envies and jealousies that's sort of impending upon our happiness. Until next time, thanks for visiting. If you like my content, please like and subscribe. Bye.